This movie starts with a girl opening her eyes. After waking up, found a special toy in her mouth. At this time, she had not yet realized how terrible this thing was, because not only was it locked, but there was also a woman carrying the same toy right in front of her, but the woman seemed to have found a way to unlock the lock. She found a silver metal needle and rubbed it hard on her hair, then placed the needle on the leaves in the water. As the leaves slowly turned, she finally got the result she wanted. It turned out that she was not trying to unlock the door, but was using the leaves to guide the direction. However, this is not the most terrifying thing, because at this moment, not only women were biting this terrible toy, but many men were also biting it, and they were all attracted by a strange box. The strange thing is that there was a crowbar next to the box, but everyone was too scared to get close. Only the man in the plate shirt bravely stepped forward and picked up the crowbar. But just as he was about to pry open the wooden box, he heard a strange scream behind him. He turned around and saw an old man giving him a stern one guess that the wooden box in front of him was definitely a terrifying trap. If he opened it blindly, then everyone will be in danger. However, the man refused to listen to any advice and continued to open the wooden box. And the people who were originally standing far away was so scared that they looked for cover to hide. Soon, the man opened the lid. He was also shocked by what was inside. He saw a newly weaned black piglet lying there, leisurely and unable to come out. But just when everyone thought it was a false alarm, the man immediately noticed something wrong inside the wooden box. Very carefully and slowly, he stretched out his arm until he touched a cold metal object with a piercing roll. They unexpectedly dug out an island statue loaded with weapons. But just as everyone relaxed their vigilance and rushed over to scramble for the weapons, only the girl noticed a special wooden board with something strange stuck on it. It was not under. She took it apart that she found something strange, but she found it was a key, so she hurriedly tried to unlock the door for a handsome guy next to her. Fortunately, she really opened it. However, no one realized that once the toy in the mouth was opened, it meant that the real panic had begun. Suddenly, a gunshot was heard directly hitting the wooden box next to the heroine. But fortunately, it seems that she is not the heroine today, but the gunshots are still continuing. Soon, another heroine seizes an opportunity to escape, and she sprints directly. As expected, she deserves the aura of the heroine. The continuous shooting couldn't hurt him at all, but then he suddenly disappeared, leaving the last handsome guy next to the wood. He also began to run widely like the heroine, and the bullets couldn't hit him either until he suddenly fell down. He saw a horrifying scene. It turns out that the heroine just now was lying comfortably in the trap pit. She was indeed very smart. Lying flat can indeed avoid flying grenades. Maybe the handsome guy wants the position of the heroine Tang, so he pulled her out. But as soon as they stood up, the man instantly realized that he was in big trouble, because at this moment she stepped on a landmine. With a violent explosion, the man suddenly disappeared, and a woman just now, she actually lay back comfortably. It seemed that she was not the heroine today. As the death toll continues to rise, it looks like a brutal battle royal, and it seems that the only way to survive this to escape from here. But the man in front of him is stopped by barbed wire. He soon realized that danger was approaching. When he turned around quickly, he saw the man from Gadishan before and a couple approaching him. But the couple was smart, and they quickly thought of a way to escape. They put their coats on the wire and climbed over it easily. Then the slowest man from the checkered mountain had just climbed up the barbed wire when suddenly a sharp sport pierced his body. The man suddenly became completely crazy. He immediately decided not to hide anymore but to eliminate the enemy, hiding in the dark by himself. I saw him holding a gun and shooting widely behind him. Even when a sharp sword flew towards him, he was able to dodge it flexibly. It seems that those hiding in the shadows have offended the wrong people this time, but luck is always temporarily. Another sharp sword hit him, and just when the man was still determined to fight the enemy, suddenly another sharp sword pierced his carotid artery. Even though he had fallen to the ground, the opponent still cruelly threw to Hunterzatim, and it was his momentary delay led to his death. This just happened to give the three men a chance to escape, and they quickly fled to a convenience store on the side of the road. When they burst in with guns, the couple in the convenience store was almost paralyzed with fear. Fortunately, they explained their purpose and borrowed a phone to call the police, but is this small convenience store really safe? They soon encountered fatal danger as they saw the woman just casually walking around the convenience store. She picked up a piece of marshmallow and stuffed it into her mouth, but soon she felt uncomfortable, as if her throat was blocked and she couldn't breathe. Then she foamed at the mount and fell to the ground and died. When the man subconsciously looked at the couple, he saw that they had put on gas masks and directly threw out a can of poison gas bomb, and the male boss quickly shot. It turns out that they are the real hunters in this battle royal, but even the strongest hunters will encounter strong opponents. Soon, a baby-faced girl suddenly broken and stood in front of them for a few seconds inexplicably, then suddenly bent down and took out a banknote from her. Then she indicated that she needed a pack of cigarettes, but when the proprietress put the cigarettes and change on the counter, the woman instantly realized that there was a murderous intention here. She suddenly took action, spun and jumped and quickly got the shotgun and shot the old man to death. Then one of them turned and looked at the moving after finishing. She picked up the cigarette, and just as he guessed, the cigarette box was empty. At this moment, she still looked very angry because she was just drinking in the bar last night, and when he woke up in the morning, she found herself here suddenly. But if she wanted to find out the ins and outs of all this, she had to tie up her hair first. Then she took off her coat because this would activate her determination to break out of the siege. But I don't know if he is lucky enough and whether he can survive more than 10 minutes, because this place seems to be peaceful and harmonious. But there were deadly murderous intentions hidden everywhere. The woman only took a look at the nearby vehicles and immediately discovered the strangeness of the vehicle. Then she directly took off the license plate, revealing the original real number. It was not until this moment that she realized that she had actually gone abroad. Why on earth did the other party have such magical power that they could make all these people appear in other countries overnight without anyone noticing? This car not only has a special license plate, but the entire body of the car excuses a sense of weirdness. Sure enough, the woman soon discovered something was wrong. She saw a transparent silk thread tied to the car door handle, and the thread extended downwards. It turned out that there was AC-4 bomb tied under the car. The power of this bomb is enormous. Once it explodes, the area within a radius of 50 meters will be reduced to ruins. But the woman doesn't seem to be afraid at all. She lay down within 5 meters of the car and wanted to remind others not to get close, but she didn't expect. A strange noise suddenly came from the sky, which scared her so much that she hurriedly lowered her head to avoid it. When she looked up again, saw a drone monitoring the inside of the convenience store. But then a gunshot was heard and the drone was suddenly shot down. Then a bearded man walked out and angrily turned out that the burger man was also a kidnapperson. They soon reached a cooperation and decided to escape from Yar along the railway. But after just a few minutes, the woman suddenly behaved abnormally. She suddenly stopped and stepped aside and began to unbutton her pants in front of the man until he suddenly squatted down. It turned out that she had to do urgently and couldn't hold it anymore. However, before she finished, the woman suddenly noticed some changes on the railway. She hurriedly picked up her shotgun, then sat down on the railroad track, starred at the front with extreme caution, and then started running without saying a word while a train was coming from behind. It turned out that she wanted to take advantage of the slow speed of the train when it turned a corner to get on the train. Soon the two of them got on the train smoothly, but unexpectedly, a strange sound was heard inside the train. The woman hurriedly took the gun, call name in the darkness, but there was nothing in the darkness until the bearded man threatened to shoot. Only then did she notice that a large group of refugees suddenly walked out from behind boxes. But unfortunately, they spoke a different language from the refugees, and both sides could not understand what each other was saying. The bearded man no longer dared to cross strangers easily. He always felt that these refugees were in disguise, so he picked up his gun and prepared to kill them all. But the train suddenly braked, and all the refugees were so scared that they hid. Soon they heard the sound of hunting dogs. When they looked outside, they found that the military was looking for these refugees. The bearded man stepped forward to communicate with the military and reminded them that the refugees in front of them were all actors who were just disguised as refugees to kill them. Unfortunately, the military in front of them could not understand this language, but at this moment, the refuge suddenly revealed his true identity and communicated with a bearded man in English. But when the bearded man shouted at the soldiers in fear, the refugee pretended not to understand English at all. When the soldier turned around again, the refuge offered an attractive condition in English. It turned out that only the neglectful man himself was in disguise, and those refugees were real refugees, and the soldiers in front of him were real military personnel. At the same time, he kindly suggested that the bearded man and the others run first, and then he would chase them from behind. The bearded man immediately pushed him down in anger. Sure enough, a lot of grenades fell out of her backpack. The bearded man grabbed the grenade and stuffed it directly into his pants. Soon, the hatted man exploded into a bowl of blood. The bearded man took advantage of the panic and fled, but the woman left behind could only leave it to fit. Soon, she was taken to a refugee camp by soldiers, where she told them her story and begged them to help her contact the US Embassy. Here the woman saw the old man from before, and a military finally believed what had happened to them and quickly notified the embassy. But can they really return to their own country safely? Because this person actually raised a strange question, which is why the hunters start getting you and not others. It was the sentence that made the woman feel that there was something wrong with this man, so she grabbed the handrail with both hands, Then a whole body shrunk and suddenly hung in the air. Then she turned sideways and kicked the embassy man out and closed the door. But this was far from over, as she suddenly reversed again and crushed him to death. Later, when he opened the trunk, his decisiveness was further confirmed because there was a man who had been dead for a long time in the trunk. He was a bearded man who had been traveling with a woman before. Then the woman found a map in the car. Looking at the red circle on the map, she suddenly part of a brilliant plan to solve the problem once and for all, because only in this way could she find out the truth of it all. So she followed the instructions on the map and found the other part easily as possible, but she did not ask the cause of the incident at all. Instead, she just killed anyone she saw. That the intercom brought bad news. At this time, a hoarse voice in the intercom called out the old man's name and asked him whether he had successfully killed the woman in front of him. It was not until then that the woman finally understood that the old man was in cahoots with them. It was precisely because of the woman's decisiveness that she did not realize that she not only killed the wrong person, but also caused him to lose his only teammate because there was an even greater danger that had been set up as an ambush. Away from here, where the most terrifying and dangerous mastermind was hidden. But the man still kindly reminded her that it would be best to take this opportunity to escape as far away as possible. Otherwise, she would realize that only death is the most comfortable. However, women just don't believe it. She actually arrived at the gate of this brightly lit manor, and the honor of the manor was aware of her arrival. She used the intercom at the door to order her to discard the pistol. Otherwise, the large number of bombs buried under her feet would explode directly. So the woman obediently put the pistol into the mailbox, and then the door of the manor slowly opened for her. However, and this moment, the woman had not yet realized the horror inside the manor. When she came to a room, she saw many photos of prey on the wall, including herself. It turned out that the identity information of each person was already known to the other party. Then when she came to the kitchen, she saw a beautiful woman in red welcoming her. After a detailed conversation, it was learned that it was a woman in red who instigated the woman through the walkie-talkie to kill the old man by mistake. But then the woman in red also told the truth. It turned out that the woman was the same as everyone else. They were all chosen by the rich to participate in this hunting game. But why did the rich choose them? It turns out that the rich people had joked in the group that if they were bored, they could hunt and play with some lower-class civilians. But they didn't expect their chart records were hacked and made public, which gave rise to many keyboard variants on the internet, but announced the ugly faces of these wealthy people every day, causing a double blow to their careers and personalities. But this was originally just a joke from the rich, so they decided to actually hunt to punish these keyboard warriors. That's why this hunting game took place. But the woman won. The woman in red that not only did they catch the wrong person, but they also caught the wrong person because the woman was not a keyboard warrior, but a soldier who had participated in the war. At the same time, there is indeed a woman of the same age. But it doesn't matter whether the RS was made by mistake or not. The woman in red will not let go of any prey because this kind of secret hunting game must ensure the absolute death of any prey. So the two women suddenly started a life and death battle. A few minutes later, the woman in red was still not as good as the other, and finally fell to the ground and died first. The winner suddenly felt very hungry. She not only ate the sandwich that the woman in red had just made, but also used a flamethrower to suture her wounds. Then she took a shover, changed her clothes, put on the clothes of the woman in red, and took the manor dog out for a walk. It seemed that she had become the new owner of the manor. At the same time, she boarded the red-dressed woman's private plane and planned to start traveling around the world. However, were the death of the woman in red early end this hunting game? Because at this moment on the plane, a fat man suddenly broke into the first-class cabin, and an old man who claimed to be a doctor. The fat man from Jing and Mansion lay flat on the ground, then borrowed a ballpoint pen from the flight attendant, and then inserted it directly into the fat man's neck when the fat man was not paying attention. Soon the fat man was dragged into a closed secret room, and around him there were many people who were lying down. It looks like a new hunting game has begun again.